got a bit of a situation here, sort of choose your fighter. Two different Sky Sports journalists reporting different things. Dharmesh is saying West Ham want Niclas Fullkrug from Dortmund, but Plettenberg saying there's nothing in it, and the player ain't keen on moving to West Ham United. So you got to pick what one you fancy here. Which in the know, which journalist do you trust the most? Two contrasting stories. However, we're going to discuss both of them. Gonzo, what did you think when you first seen a link to Niclas Fullkrug?
I thought nonsense. Actually, was the first thing I thought. Load of rubbish.
1-0 Plattenberg.
Without a shadow of a doubt. But I wouldn't even, in terms of him. Well, he's having a damn fine transfer window, really, isn't he? And I do believe the flow of information has sort of stopped towards a lot of the British sources from the club. Anyway, I certainly believe that to be the case. But Plettenberg saying that, possibly the player's not keen. Well, I'll hold on to 2 seconds. Not entirely sure the club are too keen either. Now, I am fully aware that I could be left with egg on my face, which would naturally match my T-shirt. But I'd be very, very surprised. I do think there's been a sort of scattergun element towards West Ham's targets, let's say. So you'll get linked with Alex Garcia, you get linked with Fofana, and you'll get linked with N'Golo Kante. But of course, there's massive demographic differences between all of those players, and you could even argue there's the same. The right back stuff makes. Well, it does make a little bit of sense, but if we just carry along that train of thought, there's very little similarities between the three major right back targets. The same case could be made for centre backs. And now you look at this. This is an aging. I mean, I'd love to be 31. Don't get me wrong, right? But he's an aging striker. He's okay, not particularly prolific. He's done okay, 1 in 3, I think, in the Bundesliga, but nothing. I mean, they've got Moukoko coming through, haven't they, Dortmund, who looks like a hell of a striker. I mean, this guy's going to get nowhere near the team if he stays anyway. So he's sort of being discarded by them, I would imagine, anyway. I don't know what's Adeyemi we're hearing an awful lot about that.
You're correct to assume Dortmund want to move him on. I'll explain why in a second, but you're correct with those assumptions.
Okay, thanks. I mean, I don't know. Yes, that is an assumption, obviously. But then when I look at him, I think, well, this is nothing like what we... like some of the other strikers we've been targeting. And also, I'm not entirely sure it's what we need either. And I just would sort of hope that there would be other strikers there who were younger profile. We don't need to buy more older players. I just don't believe it. I think that's the thing. I think this... Let me actually laugh on this one. I do think there's some smoke and mirrors. I do think we've got some false transfer targets to act in a fashion to flush people out. In this instance, Aston Villa with Duran. But I think you've got to make it believable. I think if I was sat in Aston Villa's boardroom at the moment, you never guess who West Ham are not interested in Duran anymore. You never guess who they bid for. I'll be saying, "Oh, really? Is that so?" Right. Well, let's watch this one play out. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I'm unconvinced as well. So it's 2-0 Plattenberg on the Hammers Chat video today on this one. I think Dharmesh has probably heard something, and like you said, there's possibly a little bit of a game going on by West Ham. And to some extent, I think he would actually suit the way Lopetegui plays football, the way that Fullkrug suits. He's fantastic in the air. You put that ball in the box and you put it in high, there's a good chance your striker's getting on the end of it. I think in that aspect of it makes sense. And I'm not against going after older players as long as there is a bit of a plan and a succession plan at that. So when we went after Kante, I mentioned a few times, apologies for repeating myself again. For those that haven't heard, I didn't mind it too much because I thought, well, by the time Kante's finished up at West Ham, Potts will now be 22, 23, Orford will be 20, 21. That's possibly the right ages for them to be breaking in and staying in the first team at West Ham. So I could see the plan. But with strikers, well, Fullkrug could be 31 and they're our youngest striker.
Brilliant.
Right. So for that reason, the other two are older than him. And we've got Callum Marshall. Hopefully he goes on and does it. But we're looking quite light in terms of talent for a striker at West Ham United right now. So while I don't mind an older player in some positions in the squad, striker is not one of them because we've already got those. We've already got the two older strikers. That's why I think it's important we get in a much younger player for that role. Like I said, I'm not going to apply this rule to every single player in every single position. I deal with it on a rumour by rumour, position by position basis. So for this one, striker, Fullkrug, I don't know what he will cost. That's what I will say. I have been trying to keep an eye out as to what the rumoured price is. I'd imagine it'd be 15-ish million. I think Dortmund paid about 15 million for him 12 months ago from Bremen.
Yeah.
He's done okay. I think he was excellent in the Champions League, and I think he looked really good at the Euros. I think that might sway a lot of people. But in the Bundesliga, he was bang average. Now, Dortmund have got a wealth of talent. Moukoko, as Gonzo said, hasn't quite lived up to his hype yet, but he's still there. Sebastian Haller is still there. But more importantly, they've just signed Seru Gervasi this summer as well. So he's their main striker next season. So they've now got a sort of an embarrassment of riches as strikers at the club. So they need to move one of them on. Fullkrug, they brought in. He's done okay. He's been a decent striker, but that's it. You want more than decent. A couple of weeks ago, he was linked to AC Milan. They were the ones that were the favourites to get him. I think they probably still are. We've entered the running according to Dharmesh. But interestingly, Plattenberg says he's got no interest in going to West Ham. And he's never left the Bundesliga before, but there's also concerns that he's even open to leaving Germany. He's actually fine where he is. He's in the national team. He could go abroad, get the wrong move, and before you know it, he's out of the German national team as well. Even though he's 31, he'll have ambitions to play for Germany at the World Cup in a couple of years' time, and rightfully so. He's their main sort of number 9. Doesn't necessarily play. That's Kai Havertz in a sort of false number 9 position. But when they needed a striker during the Euros, when they needed a goal, he was the first one on that pitch, and he went up front. Havertz would drop deep a little bit. He will still be the main guy for Germany in the next 12 months or so. So I think moving outside the Bundesliga might be a risk to that position he has with the national team. Apparently, we tried to get him last summer, and he wasn't keen. I say we inquired when he was at Werder Bremen prior to his move. He didn't join Dortmund until the end of the transfer window, and he basically said, no, I don't. It's not West Ham. I just don't want to leave the Bundesliga. I'm staying in Bundesliga, and that's that. More interestingly, obviously, when he was at Bremen last season, who else was at Bremen last season? Maximilian Hans. So our new guy was there with him as the striker. But if you want to go back like a decade ago, even more than 10 years ago, when he came through the academy, Fullkrug, who was at the academy? Tim Steiden. So Tim Steiden was a youth scout and youth coach, and then became head of scouting at Bremen, and moved. We know the story. Got promoted, and then moved on to Leverkusen. So Steiden knows about him and knows him well. Maximilian Hans knows about him and knows him well. So there is connections there between Fullkrug and personnel at West Ham United. I just don't really believe this one. If we were looking for a stopgap, if we had a really promising 20, 21-year-old striker just not quite ready for the Premier League, then I'd be inclined to say, you know what, this makes sense. Get him in. He'll be the main guy for a couple of years while we get him ready. But we ain't got that gap. We might have with Callum Marshall. I'm unsure yet. I don't believe this one. Like I said, good player, but you've got to play a specific way to get the best out of them. And I'm not sure that we will be playing that way to some extent with all the crosses coming in. I think it's fair to expect a lot of crosses under Lopetegui next season with the attacking fullbacks. Fantastic in the air. He's just a bit slow. He's mobile. His movement's good. He's just slow at moving. Big physical presence as well. I like him. He's a good striker, but
yeah, in that mould, I'd actually prefer Sorloth. Believe it or not, because he's a little bit more, just could do a little bit more outside the box. But I'm not saying I want Sorloth. I'm just saying if you're going to go and pick a giant,
I don't know enough about Sorloth either way to compare
a giant. But I'd be very disappointed if West Ham went this way at all. You know, there has to be. If it's got to, you know, and I know this is not the fact. It's just something that you speculated. you know, if it's got to the fact where Tim Stuyton's picking up people he worked with 10 years ago, and we can't go and honestly, we've got the scouting department and the analytics department and all the rest of it, and we're doing Moneyball and all the rest of it, and the best we can do is we can't find a better striker, young striker in world football than the German Jordan Hugill. Then I think we've got massive problems, to be perfectly honest with you.
German, I'll bite on that one. Well done, you've got me, the German Jordan Hugill. Leave it out.
Go on, put that in a title. You got any sense?
Gonzo rejects German Jordan Hugill.
It's good. It's got a ring to it. I want to watch it myself when I've been in the video.
I'm not sure I believe this one. I hope it's not true. I'd be open to like a loan move if it meant moving the budget elsewhere and stuff, but I just don't think Dortmund will loan him out. He's got 2 years to go on his contract there. Now's the time to sell him. That's the striker that they've decided they're going to sell by the sounds of it. And it makes sense. Moukou's also probably leaving, but that's because his agents decided he's leaving rather than the club have decided he's off ski. So I think Fullkrug will go somewhere. I just rather it wasn't West Ham. And the only way I'd accept it is if the other signings were significant. If it was a case of, well, we're going for the slightly cheaper option up front because we're going to plough that money in and go and get a top central midfielder or something like that. My concern would be if it was just a little bit of a stopgap there, then we're going to spend 15 on Wan-Bissaka. Good player, good signing. But do you know what I mean? I would only accept it if it freed up the budget in order for us to go and get a big signing elsewhere in the team. I'm just unconvinced. I believe it's a smokescreen and a threat to Aston Villa, and I hope it's a smokescreen and a threat to Aston Villa. So there you go. That's my thoughts on Niclas Fullkrug. Shall we leave it there, my friend?
I think so, mate. I think so. I'm looking forward to seeing this thumbnail with Jordan Hugill on it.
Well, there we go. We've got Dharmesh of Sky Sports against Plattenberg of Sky Sports. And Patrick Berger, there's a blast from the past. He also works for German Sky Sports, and he also says he ain't interested. He doesn't want to leave Germany. So the two representatives for German Sky Sports are saying he's not interested, but the one for England is saying, yeah, he's open to it. He's going to come on over. So often you get a battle of the know. It's not very often you get battle of the Sky Sports presenters, but here we go.
Pay cash for that.
Anyway, let us know what you think in the links to Niclas Fullkrug in the comments below. If you'd like him, if you like him under certain circumstances, if you believe it, anything goes in regards to this rumour. Get it below. Myself will go in the catch in a bit. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it. Subscribe to HamUnited Chat. We'll see you soon.